Welcome to Protea Weekly, and we're back 2 weeks in a row with Michelle. And after, you know, probably talking a little bit too much about trust in AI last week and the way to go about it, we wanted to go into a very specific AI tool that we've been using at Protea. And I'm sure a lot of accountants listening to this have been using it, and even business owners, because it is honestly just been forced down our throats and we haven't really had much of a choice but to get to use it. But with any tool, we have to prove the trust, right? Like that's what we were talking about last week. Prove the trust. We want to make sure that this tool works. And this specific tool is Bank Feeds in QuickBooks Online. It's one of the places where there's probably been the most changes in QuickBooks over the last year in terms of constant updates and the way that the AI can work to reduce the workload in the need to do manual allocations of bank transactions. And it's definitely gone through a few versions. And what we saw is that we saw our time coming down, and then all of a sudden at some point, our team's time started to take an uphill climb. And we're like, that doesn't make sense. The AI is better. It's faster. It's improving. What is going on? So Michelle, we tackled the problem of what is going on. What was our approach to figure out what was going on in our team's heads? What were they seeing? And what did we do to try at least figure out why is the time increasing?
Yes, and I mean to start that was a surprise. I think we were very surprised. I was in particular having,
I
sort
mean,
of where
surprise is a nice way of saying the words that I was feeling.
yeah, let's leave it at surprise. And for context, I mean nobody was more surprised than me. Sort of for context, I have been involved in feedback with Intuit from about late last year. So, with the AI powered bank feed coming along, which recently sort of, let's say, the latest iteration came out with updates in that in June. So spent quite a lot of time navigating the bank feed and seeing the shift from what we were used to and what we've been used to right up to this point. So, having a little bit of an understanding of sort of the mechanics behind it when we looked at what was going on with the team, the most obvious place to start was, how is the team feeling about it? And we sort of sourced feedback, and certainly, and just touching on our point from last week, couldn't ring more true in this instance, because a lot of the feedback, or let's say the main sort of response in hey, here's a poll, tell us what you think, was sort of the mistrust surrounding the bank feed suggestions, which is kind of the crux of, what the AI powered bank feed is here to do for us. So, starting from there, we sort of moved on to, okay, now that you've told us where you sort of feeling a bit uncomfortable, let's take a look and see what you're actually seeing. Because with the changes, and they've been rapid, they've been coming out sort of quicker than we can sometimes keep up. It was absolutely critical to ensure that, hey, is everybody seeing what they should be seeing? Because consistency is absolutely key in this sort of setting. And, sort of in line with our expectations, the feedback that we got was things were pretty much looking as they should. And anybody who's using the AI-powered bank feed now would know that just a few short months ago, you had the option to toggle to the AI-powered bank feed, and now it has become the default. So already you get that new landing page. You're sort of seeing the suggestions as soon as you open it. And honestly, from, sort of my personal opinion, that's the caveat. It is my opinion. I've been finding it so beneficial, and just seeing or seeing the capabilities of this. And, one of the things, I think, if you had to take a set of books, if you had to take a client file and say, right, where's that busy work that you can get rid of? Like, best use case, you're sitting in the bank feed. I in fact, had a training session with the team internally a couple of weeks ago and reminded them of how not too long ago our sort of categorization, especially when you kind of have no idea what's going on, who's getting paid, and you've just got the bank feed to rely on. It was an expedition on Google, and that was the reality of it. It was an expedition on Google, going to see if you could piece together who was getting paid, going and having a look at historical data within the file, and you can imagine how much time that took. Fast forward to where we are now, AI is doing that for us. So you're getting onto that page and you are seeing a bunch of suggestions, a bunch of flags or signals that are sort of calling out where your attention is needed. And that's kind of the space we find ourselves in now. So, we ensured that the team was sort of, is everybody aligned? Are we starting from the same point? Which was absolutely critical to, sort of the follow-on projects. And, we went out and sourced, like, tell us what's not working. Tell us where you think it's letting you down. And I actually sat on quite a few sessions with, a good number of the team. And we actually went through the bank feed. So comparing what our expectation was versus what we are seeing, because it's all good and well to have it, theoretically on paper, this is what you can expect. But getting into the files and getting into the client files and seeing the sort of day to day, and each client file operation, each client is different. They've got different things running through there, different things to consider. So that sort of fact finding mission from our side was just so valuable. And even then, we found that, are there anomalies? Absolutely. Am I calling it an anomaly? Yes, because it was in the minority. And again, calling back to what we discussed last week, is it going to make mistakes? Absolutely. But it's learning. And we sort of rounded up the project by, like I say, I had a training session with the team and I chose to focus on those mistakes because I found that, for, let's say, for the naysayers, for the ones we're talking, we're focusing in on the sort of those who, you make one mistake and that's it, can the whole system. I'm going to double check my work all the time, double check every suggestion, reinvent the wheel for everything. From that angle, I sort of say, okay, right, let's see if we can get that sort of personality on our side. How do we get you to see things differently? And one of the things with the bank feed that's just fantastic, and I'm big supporter of it, is the fact that even when it gets, or you believe that it's gotten a suggestion wrong, it still gives you categorization history at your fingertips, which allows you to still make that decision as the reviewer and come to the conclusion you want to come to. So is it still saving time? Absolutely. Is it still giving you the tools at your fingertips? You just, a click of a button, you can still override that suggestion based on your judgment and your knowledge and experience on the client. So some mistakes, absolutely. For the most part, it's working as intended, and that's what's going to be driving efficiency, because it's absolutely doing that legwork, and like I say, replacing the old, and which could oftentimes be very inconsistent. I mean, we can touch on that as well. Human inconsistency.
I mean, we at least did the research, right? Like, I know there's accountants that just will blindly allocate. Not us, other people. But, this is like, to summarize what you've just gone through, like, we went from the feelings, right? Like, everybody felt like they couldn't trust it. It doesn't work. And that was like a majority, right? Like, that was the biggest, like, it was a
Absolutely.
feeling of like, it does not work. We moved to the facts. And if the feelings were 80-20, like, this doesn't work, the facts were more like a 99-1 that it does work. And it is interesting to see how a 1% error rate equals distrust, where
Yes.
like I'm a 90% right. Like, you get 90% right, I'm
Close
fantastic.
enough.
Like,
Close
We're
enough.
good. Yeah, and we're a firm that, I always tell people, I hire better accountants than me, right? Like, you shouldn't be an accountant if you want 90% is good enough. But realistically, 90% is good enough for 90% of clients,
Yes.
right? So we have to understand, and I've spoken about this before, that, and I've told the team this as well, we've always sold on quality, but AI is going to create this world where, like, quality doesn't matter because the bad get closer to the good.
Yeah.
And for the very good quality, it's only going to move you a little bit. But for the not so good, it's going to move them a lot. So that gap of, hey, we're 20% better is probably now like 5% better.
Sure.
And does
Yeah.
that 5% really make a difference to clients? Probably not, right? So there is a significant mind shift. And like, this is a great, like for us, it's great, right? Like, I want us to be the best. And if the people have the mindset, if it's not 100%, it's not perfect, like it's not a terrible mindset to have.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we can't go to a point where, like, oh, we don't trust the tool. Now we're going to take twice as long to do an exercise that should be taking a
Precisely.
tenth of the time. So that's
Exactly.
we've gone too far right now, right?
Yes.
And to tell the truth, I don't even know how to double my time on bank feeds. Like, it is a special talent, and it probably tells us that we have some really, overthinking, intelligent people working for our team, which is fantastic. It means we've done a great job hiring really smart people. And sometimes with really smart people, we just got to help them get out of their own way a little bit and get their feelings out of the way a little bit. And,
Yeah.
this is for general accountants and,
Well,
like, take it away from Protea. There's a lot of hate towards Intuit a lot of the time, right? Like, this is Big Brother coming to take our jobs. And hey, maybe they are, probably are, right? Like, they're there to make money. But there is going to be a need for an accountant, and they need smart accountants. Now, smart accountants can't be wasting their time doing this work in a place where the AI or the agent can be doing it for us, because
yes.
that's not helping us add value to our clients. And at the end of the day, it's all about adding value to our clients. And if we're spending too much time distrusting a piece of technology, we either need to drop that piece of technology or potentially find a new career.
Yes. No, I mean, that's, just listening to you now, it really, let's keep the career, Zane. Let's keep the career. But I think, that is, I almost find it as an element of you go searching for that 1%. I think, and when there is this element of, and this is how we got onto, okay, how is this 80-20 split in terms of feelings of mistrust in that? Because and for sure, with I mean, I suppose we're answering it to ourselves. We're definitely not on either side. We are positioning ourselves in the middle, approaching with skepticism, healthy skepticism, and testing it. Because had we just looked at the results and said, okay, 80, you would want to can the whole thing. If that's the general feeling, just throw it all away. There is zero benefit to it. But by going and getting the fact and testing it, and when I say testing it, I mean very, very robust and trying to understand, I mean, you and I had the conversation when we were going through some of the feedback, trying to piece together where those anomalies could have come from, sort of us getting comfort in what we were seeing. And I think, it can get to that point where it does become, I want to continue proving that I can't rely on you. And that sort of becomes a vicious cycle that never ends. And again, why I say my angle is absolutely, can it get things wrong? Sure it can. But even within that, there are enough guardrails. Sort of got its own guardrail set up there by showing you this is kind of where I'm getting the answer from. And it does not change the fact that you, as the human, as the reviewer, it's you pressing post. This is not an auto post. It's telling you high confidence, really think this is where it should go. The decision still rests with you. For those who don't want to relinquish control, don't see it as relinquishing control. See it as here's this assistant doing the legwork for me, and now I just get to come and make the final decision. That's effectively what it is.
Yeah, and I can boldly come on here and say that Insured bank feeds work. We manage a lot of clients. We're probably coding close to at least 10,000 transactions a week. we've been testing this now for, as you said, you've been talking to the team since the end of last year. It means I've been talking to them 10 months about this, and we've been testing it and playing with it. Now, obviously, I think, and I've told them this, Hector Garcia's told us, I think a lot of people have told them this. When you're releasing different versions of the same software to different files, when people are working on multiple files, that's also where a little distrust comes from. But I
Yes.
think we have a big enough sample set to go right now and looked at these edge cases. And some of them, I say edge case, they're bad mistakes. Like there's some that you're just like, it's clearly obvious that that's the account. You're telling me it went there 11 times, and the 12th time you're telling me it goes somewhere else.
Yes.
Like it makes some silly mistakes, but it is less than 1%. Like it's probably less than, 10% of 1% at this point, to tell the truth, with the volume of transactions we go through.
Yes.
And for me, that is more than enough certainty to say this is a great tool. And every single accountant and every single business owner that is using QuickBooks Online should be using the AI powered bank feed and giving it probably more trust than it deserves, but it does a great job. We can't forget, and they tell you this, they've got their new little green, orange, red. My
Yes.
colorblindness was getting in the way, but there's signs that help you.
Green, blue, orange.
Green,
For
blue, orange. There we
those
go.
who are looking
Green,
out
blue,
for it.
orange.
Green, blue, orange, yes.
They tell you when they're confident, when they're not confident. And you got to build controls in place on how you review it. But
Yes.
this should significantly reduce your time, make you more efficient, and give you opportunity to serve your clients in better ways than other than Googling businesses' names to figure out what this business is. So I say go ahead, trust the tool, use the tool, and go add value to your clients.
Couldn't agree more, Zane. And sort of just on that, through and this was kind of the feedback that when I was hopping on calls with Intuit and with the team, it became sort of a running joke that I really had to dig deep each time to find these exceptions. And because again, we're talking that 10% of 1%, and that is absolutely true, which was sort of the message that we tried to convey as well. Even if there's always going to be outliers, there's always going to be something that needs your attention. Even if that pool was sitting at 10%, overall, if you're stepping back and you're looking at your entire file and your entire monthly processing, that is still far, far better than where we have been positioned for years upon years upon years, where the bank feed just took so much time and allowed room for so much inconsistency.
Couldn't agree more. Michelle, I appreciate you being with me the last 2 weeks. I thank you for
Thank
all
you,
the effort
Zane.
you put in, for the scientific rigor that we put in to prove that this thing works. But we will end with bank feeds work, go and use them.
Absolutely. Thank you, Zane.